Now, a lot of relationships break because people don't feel loved anymore. Hi. It's like 1:38 a.m. and I'm gonna go to sleep, but I just want to talk about this thing that's just been like in my mind for the longest time. Recently, I read this book and it was talking about like the five different love languages. Not a lot of people talk about this as much as I think they should. I've only seen like a couple of videos really make a video on this. People don't really talk about how the five different love languages can really be applied in real relationships and how much impact that they have in making or breaking your lasting relationship. So if you guys don't know, the five different love languages is acts of service, gift giving, physical touch, words of affirmation, and quality time. And these five different love languages are different for everyone. Love languages are usually decided by the person's upbringing, whether that is the love that they received from their caregiver or from their parents or from like a significant other that you have been with for a long time. So these love languages is not something that is innate. It is really more of like it's more learned because of the person's environment. Everyone has one main love language, and whoever is able to fill that in, that is how they feel loved. A lot of experts say that everyone has one main language, but they have another language that they appreciate. So they have one love language that they feel loved for, and then they have like one more that they recognize as love, but it's not like really their main love language, but they can appreciate it. So basically, we all have two love languages. This is really interesting for me because it is so common for a lot of partners in relationships and married couples who have very different love languages. Obviously, if both couples have the exact same love language, then that's really just like a jackpot, a jackpot, but it's very, very rare. It's more common for like couples to have different love languages. So does my parents. Yet people fall in love and they build and sustain these relationships. That doesn't necessarily mean that both individuals feel very fulfilled in terms of, how much love that they are receiving from the other. This is largely due to because you have different love languages, and the love language that you doing to the other, it may not be a form of love that they recognize one as. For instance, if somebody's love language is physical touch, and for the other person, their love language is acts of service, the person who is doing acts of service thinks, doing acts of service things, for example, like cooking you dinner, is a form of love because that's what they recognize love for themselves. So they would cook for the other significant person, but even though that the other person feels like, oh, this person is cooking for me and they're doing it for me, out of love, the other person who's their main love language is physical touch may not feel like they're fulfilled with love if the acts of service person isn't showing enough physical touch as much as they would be doing with acts of service, if that makes any sense. People value and appreciate different types of love very differently based on their love language. And normally, when couples start dating, they definitely recognize and appreciate that love in the beginning because in the beginning, like everyone, you're filled with so much love where you're like any type of love would feel like love. But as the relationship goes on and it, becomes more long terms, that's when you kind of like, I guess, like the love starts, I wouldn't say fade away, but that's when you kind of start feeling like, am I truly feeling loved and appreciated by my partner? That's when you start questioning, like, am I really truly happy and satisfied in this relationship? The lust that's happening when you first start dating is faded away. And so now you're kind of left with like that other person and their actions, and like you really truly see what's going on apart from like that love filter that you had from the beginning of the relationship. Now, a lot of relationships break because people don't feel loved anymore, and their emotional plate for love becomes empty. And when it stays unfulfilled, this same love language is what's hurting them from their significant other. The love language that you expect from your significant other, when that emotional plate is not fulfilled with that same love language, then because of that love language, you're getting hurt. And your significant other is also getting hurt, essentially, because even though that other person feels like they are constantly giving you love, but you telling them that you don't feel the love language is basically hurting the relationship. So the solution to this problem, which actually many marriage counselors recommend, is really trying to figure out what your partner's main love language is. And the emphasis is on main. Remember in the beginning, I said there's two different love language that you have. One is your main, which is the one that you actually feel love. And then the other one is like you can recognize it and appreciate it as love. So the key is to find this main love language, and it really takes effort. It takes real effort to find this out and fulfill this for your significant other, because their main love language might not be the same as the one that you feel that you're used to. For instance, like words of affirmation or physical touch, like those are things that you genuinely need to be exposed of when you are growing up as a young child. And those are the type of love that, your family they need to be used to doing that in order for you to feel like, oh, this is like actually love. I really understand at this point, because for me, for my family, our love language is acts of service and gift giving. So our least two love languages are physical touch and words of affirmation. When I was seeing, like a previous partner whose main love languages were physical touch and words of affirmation, I genuinely could not understand why that would be considered as love. Because for me, it's like anyone can, say that you're beautiful and say that they love you, or anyone can give you a hug and kiss you, but those who truly love you will want to sacrifice themselves and do acts of service, or sacrifice their money to, buy gifts and thoughtful gifts for you. Like for me, because those two love languages, gift giving and acts of service, was my family's main love languages, I thought every other love language was just like a superficial love. It's not like love that's genuine. It does take really a lot of effort than you realize, because love is effort. Falling in love may be so easy, but once the falling in love stage, this phase is called limerence. And once this limerence stage is gone, that's when you actually choose to love. And I actually think that that is when real love starts, is when you start choosing each other and choose to love, when that falling in stage and the limerence and the lust is, all gone. Because real love is when you decide to love, not when you can love.